Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to have a really short talk about two things that are critical when you're wanting fat loss, lasting fat loss. Welcome back. If you're new, my name's Connie Rutledge. I'm a functional nutritionist, I'm a fat loss specialist, and I help menopausal women with fat loss. It's not easy, and I know if you're here, you're looking for tips, you're looking for ways to strategize and to be successful at that never-ending process of balancing the menopausal body. I mean, it's not easy. I'm 63 years old. I've mastered my fat loss. I've maintained my weight loss. And I'm happy to say that I'm living in a body that feels like I want it to feel, for the most part. I mean, nothing's ever perfect. I do know, though, that being at my goal weight and having the ability to maintain control is something that I'm enjoying immensely. And I want that for you too. And it's not easy. It's a day-to-day, daily process. I work at it, and I know you do too, but oftentimes, you know what? You're not successful. I work with many of you, and I will say that to get started with me, it starts with a jumpstart initial consultation. We spend an hour together looking at everything that's going on with you, from what you're eating to the supplements you're taking to how you're exercising, how you're sleeping, and I give you a quick recipe for success. And then you have the ability to, work with me further to really streamline and understand your body. Maybe we do some blood work, maybe we do some functional testing, but those are add-ons and those are lengthier programs that are just second to none in you figuring out how to balance your menopausal body, how to live, optimally, how to have better energy, better metabolism, how to understand how your body works and know just what's actually happening. So that's something that, you might want to check out. If you want a free 15-minute discovery call with me, you're welcome to do so. Go to my website, email me, and we'll figure out how to get in touch. Okay, let's talk about why you're here. There are two critical things that you need to control in order to maintain your weight and to kick off that fat loss journey. Those two things are blood sugar, insulin, and cortisol. Those are two things that kind of are at the helm deciding whether you are successful or not. When we're talking about blood sugar and insulin, well, we have control over that because that's directly correlated by what we're eating. Our diet is going to be directly linked to our blood sugar control and our insulin. Now, when insulin is high and glucose is high, well, that's diabetes, type 2 diabetes and or prediabetes. You also typically have high blood pressure, you have body fat, you have belly fat, you have visceral fat, and metabolic chaos. So let's be clear. When you understand that the responsibility that you have to your body, you can control what you put in your mouth. And the good news is when you control your diet and you are lowering your glucose, your typical blood sugar levels, then your stress, your cortisol goes down. Okay, let me caveat all of this because there are certain ways that your cortisol can be high even though you have a perfect diet. And that would be like a hidden underlying stressor, meaning you have a viral infection or you have a overgrown gut. you have a GI infection. Maybe you have something like Candida, or you're not eating enough and you're fasting too much and you're increasing cortisol just because your body's under too much stress, or you're exercising too hard. So these are a couple of ways that we know are increasing cortisol, and your style of eating or your diet might have very little to do with that. But for the most part, when I'm counseling ladies and, whoever, and your cortisol and your insulin is high, then we need to focus on dietary strategies. You need to eat high protein. You need to eat low carbs. You need to eat low processed carbs by way of whole foods, no seed oils, real quality nutrients to give your body, the raw materials it needs to build health. Now, the interesting thing is when you get on that bandwagon and you do the clean diet, you're eating enough, you're not starving yourself, oftentimes you're able to get into a low ketogenic state. And so many times when I talk to you, you have no idea if you ever get into ketosis at all. And if you're doing all the things and you're never losing fat, then it's time for you to kind of test, not guess. So I would recommend the KetoMojo. It is a wonderful tool to be able to maximize your efforts, to know what's happening, and to be able to find out how and what it takes for you to get into ketosis, for your liver to start using ketones, because when your body has burned through all the sugar that you just ate, you're able to make ketones, which is a beautiful fuel source for the body. Ketones happen when your body starts burning fat for fuel instead of the food that you ate, the glucose that you're putting in your body. And we want more than ever to utilize the stored fat in your body so that you can start enjoying the benefits of fat loss. That's why you're here. So when you're eating a ketogenic style diet, and that doesn't mean you have to eat copious amounts of fat, you have to eat high protein, moderate fat, or, depends on your metabolic needs. But most women that I work with do really well with higher protein, moderate fat, and lower carbohydrates, and an amount of intermittent fasting. Whether you do like 16 hours in the fasted state and you eat for 8 hours, meaning maybe you have 2 feeding windows. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look at some of my other videos on eating styles and strategies for fat loss. But when you get into the swing of it, and you're feeling like, okay, I can do this, you're feeling empowered, yet you're not having any fat loss, then we need to know when your body starts to make ketones. And you're going to test your with the KetoMojo. You're going to prick your finger, you're going to test your glucose, and it's usually somewhere under 90 that we want to end up in. And then you want to use a ketone strip and test that to see if you have any level of ketones at all, because that's where the magic happens. You're going to feel a little bit better. You're not going to have cravings. You're going to be less hungry. And until you can get to that state, it's quite possible that you're really not eating properly, or your body has toxic loads that you need to kind of process through and metabolize. Maybe your liver is fatty, you're just eating too often or eating the wrong kind of things, but give it time, because consistency is key. And when you have the ability to know what your body's doing by way of understanding glucose levels, And that would be your blood sugar levels. And then you would have the ability to know your ketone levels if you're in ketosis at all. And that's the key. Understanding, knowing how and what it takes for your body to actually produce ketones is going to go far in your ability to maintain your weight, to lose fat, and feel like you want to feel. Now for me, I'm at my ideal weight. I have good muscle tone and lots of energy. I'm typically in a state of ketosis pretty much all the time. If I test my ketones, like this morning I tested ketones and I was at 0.3, and a low level of ketogenic state is about 0.5 on that KetoMojo monitor. So I know that any kind of stress at all is going to take you out of ketosis. But for the most part, I land somewhere in ketosis between 3 and 5. And then if I eat a ketogenic meal or something like a carnivore meal, more high in protein and very low carbs, if any, then my ketones will go up. So that said, I prefer balance, and I know that the body likes to be kept guessing. So I don't keep myself in a high ketogenic state all the time. I kind of cycle in and out of eating a little higher carb. And when I say high carb, it might mean I'll eat more potatoes, I'll have maybe some legumes, maybe some fermented organic homemade sourdough, which I don't eat a lot of grains, but occasionally that's something that I do enjoy. And yeah, that's pretty much where I go when I'm increasing the carbohydrates, and that happens maybe once or twice a week. So I'm basically intermittent fasting most days, and then I'm eating a day of very low carb, or at least relatively low carb, and then I'll have a day where I'm eating a little higher carb. And I will just kind of rotate, keep the body guessing, kind of use my palate, or maybe an opportunity for a celebration to splurge a little bit more. But for the most part, my consistency has been, and most of my clients that enjoy that level of balance are being more consistent with that type of a style for a weekly diet program. We don't call it a diet, it's a lifestyle. So we're basically consistent with our diets, consistent with our food timing, and enjoying a level of balance that will serve you and all of us for the rest of our lives as menopausal women. I'm not going to suggest that for a perimenopausal woman because it's not enough fuel to make hormones. But that's another story. I'm talking for the most part for over 50, over 60. And that's what I want you to understand as you really get some clarity on how to maximize fat loss in a menopausal body. Okay, that said, I mean, when your insulin is low, or at least well managed, and your cortisol is well managed by, you're not over exercising, you're not under eating, because that's a huge component to balancing cortisol. Stress from so many things is going to play here. You can use deep breathing techniques, a yoga class, taking a walk, getting a good night's sleep. All of those things are going to really play well with lowering your cortisol. There are cortisol manager supplements that you can add into the mix. But for the most part, when your diet's clean and your head's right, and you are able to kind of tap into fat loss by way of ketosis, then you're going to have more bandwidth for lasting fat loss. Of course, you need to, eat enough. You need to drink enough water. You need to take quality supplements because our foods don't have those on like they did 100 years ago. And you need to think right. Don't make this difficult because it really isn't. I think once you have a plan in place, you can execute that plan. You can plan ahead. You can have food available so that when you are busy, you've got go-tos. And that's, oh my gosh, another video, because I'm looking around me, and even when I go to the grocery store, it's just amazing how difficult it is to find unprocessed quality foods at the ready. Unfortunately, that's just not the world we live in. You know what? It's not like you can just walk into Starbucks and be, have something healthy, have a healthy choice. There is really not, it's just not easy these days, but it's doable. I don't want to dissuade you, but I want to encourage you to understand this, because the two critical hormones, insulin and cortisol, are controllable. You get to control how much and what you eat, and you get to control your lifestyle and how you feel. And maybe it doesn't sound like an easy task, but I know you can do this. I'd love to help you out. Let me know in the comments what your stress level is. Let me know in the comments if you're in ketosis. It's a short one this week, and I hope it resonates. Thanks for being here. Take the bull by the horns this week and make it happen, okay? All right, come for the fat loss, stay for the longevity. Let's optimize together, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.